I hope you're all well, considering the terrible situation with the coronavirus. My country, Italy, is in a particularly bad shape, and I'm really sad about it. I live in the UK, as you know, but I have obviously all my family there, and I'm really worried, and I hope other countries can learn from the mistakes that have been made when dealing with this terrible outbreak, and really get ready for it. Please don't underestimate it and stay safe. The reason I'm starting with this statement is because it's a bit related to what I really want to try and discuss in this video. A few days ago, I received emails from more than one publisher asking for music to be placed under documentaries, newscasts, and other TV shows that deal with the coronavirus. I must say, I never found myself in a situation like that, and I felt a bit weird about it. My very first reaction was, wow, we really are in the show business, and it does not stop even when there is a pandemic and the situation is very serious. Then I thought about it and I said, well, after all, that is a part of our job as composers. We are storytellers, and our main role is to help filmmakers and producers to tell a story. And our music is influenced by the everyday events anyway. So it was important for me to try and do it. Recently, I've been really struggling to keep up with all the library music requests, and so I always leave them a little bit last minute, and so I only had one afternoon to send something to the shows. And I decided to write 2 tracks. It looks like a lot, 2 tracks written in an afternoon, but when you listen to them, you understand that they are incredibly simple, and actually that is one of the main takeaway from this video, is that when dealing with some specific kind of tracks, to keep them simple and keep them bare minimum is really the way to go. There is a bit of a difference from other walkthroughs that I did in the past, and that is that those tracks have not been approved yet. So it might be a complete cock-up, and I really hope it won't be. They might not be accepted at all, but I did it on purpose because, maybe we can learn together about the process, and I'm sure I'll get revisions, and I want to look at these revisions with you in a future video, and I hope we can make them together. I really want to show you the complete process between sending a track to a publisher, do all the revisions, and get them approved. I really hope you will enjoy these walkthroughs. I'll see you at the desk, and we can talk a little bit about it later.
Okay, here we go. So let's start with the first track. The first track is incredibly simple. It's very abstract, very ambient. As you can see, it's only 4 tracks. I actually used Magnetica, which is the sample library that I'm releasing for free as soon as it's ready. And I actually thought a lot before using it, probably a terrible mistake. The reason being that this is very much of a work in progress, and the library is going to change in the next few days, so when I'll get revisions I probably won't have it anymore. So what did I gonna do right now? Actually, I'll do it just while we talk a little bit about the track, is that I'm gonna bounce it in place. So if anything goes wrong, and I'm sure that it will go wrong because I'll definitely get revisions and I will need to change at least something, I will have at least the audio to work with, if not the MIDI. So the track that was very ambient, very minimal to see tenor dialogue, and Magnetica as a pretty huge sound, is a very dense soundscape. So I used that as a main thing, and I was lucky enough that I made the sound from scratch, so I didn't have any licensing issue, any passage that was to expose, which by the way is one of the great reasons for which you should bake your own sounds. I just used a few other elements. One specific request that they have is that even if it was supposed to be an ambient track, they didn't want anything that was too drony. They didn't want a single drone. They wanted it to have a little bit of a shape. They suggested having an A-B-A-1 structure. Let's listen to it, and I'll guide you through a few of the sounds that I used. Here's the track. Okay, so as you can see, it's mostly magnetic, really. I processed it with a little bit of compression and some EQing. Nothing much. It's pretty much out of the box. The cool thing about Magnetica was that the main knob is automated this way. By the way, Magnetic is gonna be free. I'm gonna release it soon, and I'm gonna release it through this YouTube channel. So please subscribe if you haven't done that, so you can be notified when it comes out. What this does is that creates movement in the sound through a number of effects. There is some filtering. There are two notch filters. There is some delays, which they're programmed more to sound like a diffusion kind of thing. And one cool thing, even if I didn't use it here, and is that there is this texture button that adds to the main sound, which is this. It's a Stratocaster guitar played with a Nebo, this textural thing. Which in the case of this library is a kalimba and a handpan played and processed in different ways through some granular synthesis. But in the full version that I'm going to release in a couple of months, you're going to be able to pick the sample that you want to use as a texture layer, which hopefully is going to be really cool. We were talking about the ABA1 section that the publisher suggested me to use, and you'll see that pretty much the A section is this part over here. I used this part as a B part, and I transitioned into it using this percussion part from Dramatic Creator. This is a new library that I just bought from In Session Audio. I think I already mentioned this before. I own all the sample libraries by this developer. This video is not sponsored by them by any means. I bought them because I genuinely think they're great. It's one of the most interesting content developers that is out there at the moment, I think. And this is a bit of a follow-up to their Taiko Creator library. It literally came out last week. I just bought it. I want to try it a little bit because I want to make a review soon, and I use this sound to make this transition. It's a bit of a cymbal roll. I use this just for this. In the second track we're gonna see, you'll see that I use the library a little bit more extensively, but still with a minimal role. This second part has a slightly different harmony, a slight different timbre because it's in a lower register, and then I went back into the first section, reproposing it slightly changed. Pretty simple. Another thing that I use as a transition is another custom sample that I'm not still working on, as this is my Mini Log XD, which is a great analog synth, one of my favorite, which I processed through my modular synth. It sounds like this. It's obviously processed with some delay over here. I really love the sound, and I should include it in some library. I really love this saturated texture that he has. I love how it grows into this slightly distorted thing, and I often include it as a transition because I think it works really well in building a bit of a momentum into the track. And other than that, one thing that I didn't mention is that another advice that was given to me by the publisher was to feature sounds that would be typical of, medical tension drama kind of thing. Typically heartbeat sounds, which you heard quite a bit. This is from Action Strike. It's quite classic, really. I use both the loop, which is here, sorry, and the single sound that I programmed. Very reverberant. I treated it with some SSL console that is actually automated, so it's bypassed for big part of the track and comes in only later to make it work with the mix a little bit, and a bit of a saturation. And that's pretty much it. Again, incredibly simple track, but hopefully it does the trick of sitting under dialogue. And I really wanted to try Magnetica in a sort of a professional scoring situation. I think that, if it can be inspiring enough for me to use it this way, I think it's important for me to try it out, even if I'm running the risk of, getting revision and it changing in the meantime. I think it's good to try it out because it can inspire changes, and it basically instructs me on how useful it is for film composers. Let's move to the second track.